walking out with just everything you need to survive on your back. You feel very self-reliant, which again, I can kind of relate when you live on the road, you kind of feel that same way too. Like, hello everyone, welcome to Cheap RV Living. My name is Brian.
I'm Jesse.
And I'm Jen.
And one of the things we love about living the full-time nomadic life is that it gives us opportunities to go do hobbies and things that we enjoy doing in our free time. And today you've joined us in backpacking. So we're in the middle of a backpacking trip in Yosemite, and we're going to play a little game of questions. I have a bunch of questions in here, and we're going to go around and just answer these questions. And feel free to play along. You can add it to the comments at the end, or whatever you feel like. But if you have some really good answers, we'd love to hear them as well. So, all right, with that, let's just go ahead and start. What is your favorite thing to do while backpacking? For me, a lot of it is swimming. Actually, it is swimming. I love jumping in the alpine lakes. It's freezing, it's brisk, it's cold, but it's something I love doing. And I love also putting my feet in the water. Just having that cold alpine lake water come through is just like, oh, but refreshing. So, that's my answer, swimming. So, do one of you guys want to answer this as well? What is your favorite thing to do while backpacking?
I'm more of the explorer, I think, of the group.
You absolutely are,
I like to look at all the trees and the rivers and creeks and climb all the peaks and boulders and that type of thing.
That's true. You're usually going way off, and Jen and I can't catch up to you. That's a good point. Jen, how about you? What's your favorite thing to do?
I think that's a big part of it is exploring, but then I also incorporate knitting every single trip.
Yeah, and so that is your thing. You love knitting while you backpack. Do you do it while you're walking?
I have on just like super flat, easy trails, but I don't tend to. I'd rather look at what's going on around me.
Okay, but then at camp you like to. Okay, awesome. All right, that was question uno.
All right, how much does your backpack weigh?
Just a guess.
I have no idea.
Okay.
It's heavy at the beginning of every trip because of all the food.
And part of the reason is that he's the one, oh God, he's carrying this, which is the bear vault.
Fortunately, as the trip goes on, it gets lighter.
Okay.
The more we eat.
That's true. That's very true.
I'm not really sure. I'd love to find out, though.
Yeah. I mean, my base weight is probably like 14 pounds, but it doesn't change because he carries all the food.
That's true. So yeah, it's constant. I'm guessing I'm probably base of 14. I know I weighed my old backpack, but it was with food, water, and all that stuff. And I want to say it's between 20 and 25 pounds, depending on how many days I'm out.
What is your favorite backpacking memory? I don't know. I really liked our trip to North Dome and just sitting quietly looking out at Half Dome all night.
Very beautiful views.
Yeah, that's very true. Okay. All right.
And we were kind of alone.
One of my favorite memories, it isn't real recent, but it was several years ago, and I was at Graveyard Lakes on the other side of the Sierra. And I remember Stella and I my dog was Stella. She passed away last summer. Yeah, just her and I being up there and just looking out, like climbing up to this one ridgeline and just looking out and just being all by yourself out there. It was just amazing. So that's a really fond memory for me, just because I shared it with her too, and so that's really nice. So, do you have any one that you want, or is it North Dome as well?
Yoho National Park.
Okay.
In Canada.
In Canada. Oh, okay. Is that in the Rockies?
Yes, Canadian Rockies.
Okay. Gotcha.
And it was the Iceland Trail. It was like 17 miles, but we saw like glaciers and waterfalls, awesome. And it had checked all the boxes.
Yeah, adding it to my list.
Long ways.
The question is, you live on the road full time. Aren't you always camping? Do you still want to backpack, and why? So that was my concern when I first hit the road, is that I didn't know if I'd want to backpack, because I was like, well, I'm always camping in my motorhome. I'm always out at full time. And I thought that, but then the first time that I went out into the wilderness on a backpacking trip after hitting the road, I was like, oh, no, this is totally different. It gives me that chance to disconnect. A lot of times you don't have cell service possibly. And it's just, I don't have all those little things in my motorhome to futz around with. So I can't be like, oh, I'm just going to piddle with this, or I'm going to piddle. It's like you are just yourself with these bare essentials, and so yeah, I think it's much different, and so I still really like doing it. That's my answer. How about you guys?
I would agree.
Yeah, and I would say being from Florida, we really didn't backpack before we hit the road. It's something that we've started doing as we've had more time and opportunity
Yeah.
and places to do it. So that's been a big benefit of being on the road is more backpacking.
Yeah, more places to explore.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that totally makes sense.
Plus, you're able to get a lot more into the wilderness because, I mean, your RV can only go so far.
Yeah.
We boondocked in some awesome spots, but you're
Mhm.
still relatively close to civilization.
That's true. That's a really good
So
point.
backpacking, you can get way in there.
Yep, and for multiple nights. So, and the trip around right now is one of the longer ones we've done, and it's 4 days, 3 nights. So.
Describe your worst night of sleep while backpacking. It was our Florida trip for sure. There was a possum that was murdered in camp, and you could hear it screaming at night. And there were wild boars, and you could hear them stomping and snorting right outside of our tent. Their bristles were scraping the side of the tent as they were going back and forth.
I didn't get any sleep that night.
It was not. Yeah, that was definitely by far the worst night of sleep backpacking.
After that trip, earplugs was definitely one of the essentials.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That totally makes sense.
No sleep.
I'm trying to think. I honestly don't sleep well most of the time when I'm
Yeah.
backpacking. It's always a little uncomfortable. Even though I have a nice pad, I think it's just the strange environment or whatnot. So usually the first night it's awful, and the second night I sleep better. I don't know. I know there have been bad times. I think back in college we did have one where we were caught in a rainstorm, but
So
I
the
must
rain.
have blocked that out. So because I don't remember a lot about it, I'm like, I don't recall. So all right. What is your favorite piece of equipment for backpacking? Honestly, I think mine is it's kind of geeky a little bit, but it's my stove. It's a little alcohol stove. It's a tin can stove, and I made it myself. You can make it for like pennies. It's basically you can take a couple recycled cans and you cut it off and you poke holes, and there's hundreds of different variations of it online, but it was just kind of fun to do. It's super lightweight and it's kind of geeky, and so I think that's my favorite piece of equipment. So how about you?
I would have to say this pad that I'm sitting on.
Oh, yeah, no, yes.
Because there's lots of hard surfaces along the trail.
Right. And it's light. It's super lightweight.
Yeah. It collapses down, it blows up, so.
Yeah. Okay. I'd buy that. And Jen?
I don't know. If I can't count my knitting needles, I would
Yeah, I don't know if we
definitely
count
say my new sleeping pad, because it's much more comfortable than my old one. So I sleep better and I stay warmer as well.
What kind of pad is that? Remember?
Big Agnes. I don't remember which.
Okay.
It kind of sounds like she's rubbing the top of a balloon. Yeah.
Oh, that's
It's gotten
right.
better.
What is the most rewarding thing about backpacking? It's getting back to nature.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, inspired by John Muir and Ansel Adams photography, and
Especially right here. Yeah.
Sierras is definitely it's easy to see why it's so rewarding,
Yeah.
because there's so many beautiful places. Yosemite is our favorite national park.
Mm-hmm.
It's just beautiful.
Yeah, I'd definitely say just getting off the beaten path and experiencing things that most people will never see because they don't walk more than 100 feet from a parking lot.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's a very good
So
point.
I think that's probably very rewarding, just to get out there and see things that most people don't see.
I guess for me, the other thing is like I love the fact of like walking out with just everything you need to survive on your back, and you get out there and you're like, oh, I can cook. I can sleep. I can set up my shelter. Like it's very rewarding. It's very empowering that you feel like makes you feel very self-reliant, which again, I can kind of relate when you live on the road.
Yeah.
You kind of feel that same way too. Like you have a good feeling of like, oh, I can do this. Like I don't need the city. I don't need, all these other things.
What things do you do to keep safe while backpacking? I think first is just kind of knowing your route a little bit and a little bit about the environment that you're walking into. I know when we go on longer trips like this, we notify someone where we're going and when we're expected back, and a copy of our backpacking permit. And I think it's just knowing the essentials and where to get water and how to do
A
it
lot of it's
safely.
preparation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of it is preparation.
That makes sense, because that is one of the like leave no trace things, is like, you know, preparation and
Mhm.
making sure that you are prepared. And I think leaving the itinerary with someone is hugely important. I used to be on search and rescue, and that was the biggest thing that we would always really hammer into people, is just making sure you let someone know, so that if you don't come back, they know your approximate route. That's very important. And like you said, kind of know your surroundings, and yeah, and just be aware, and, you know, carrying a bear can, or just, you know, knowing what's going on. So
In grizzly country, carrying bear spray definitely is important.
true. And I haven't done a lot of backpacking in grizzly country.
Yeah.
Most of
I
it's
didn't.
just black bear, which are a little
Yeah,
easier to deal
we
with.
just
Yeah.
mainly day hiked in grizzly.
Is backpacking hard to get into? Um, it's not. I mean, it's basically just taking the next step. If you enjoy hiking, it's a natural next step to going
Mhm.
backpacking. You know, you need some equipment. The lighter you go, the more enjoyable you go. But if you have a heavy pack, you just go shorter distance, and it's not the end of the world. But yeah, I mean, as long as you have a way of like having food and a shelter and a sleeping bag, you know, and sleeping pad, that's all you really need. You can get much more detailed after that, but it's not that hard to get into. And then there's obviously a lot of web pages and stuff that you can reference. But yeah, I would say if you enjoy hiking, go for it. Just do it.
And I would say our first trip, we used a day pack and just didn't do a hike that was very far.
Oh yeah.
And we knew that if we didn't like it, we could just walk back to the car that night.
So like a safety valve.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I like that.
From memory, list some of the items in your 10 essentials. Okay. I'm not responsible for the 10 essentials. Jen,
That's her job.
that's in her bag.
All right.
So I know there's a compass in there, and
Yep.
and
Yeah,
probably
we
some band-aids.
Usually have a map or some form
Map.
of GPS.
Okay.
Usually Advil, Tylenol, antidiarrheal medication,
Oh, yep.
All
some
important on the trail.
bandages.
Bandages, okay.
Trying to think. Like tough tape moleskin in case you get blisters.
Okay. I carry duct tape.
A
Same
knife.
kind of idea. Yep.
Something to cut with.
And you had mentioned putting a water filter in there at one point.
I
Yep.
consider it part of my 10 essentials.
Yeah.
I don't know if it actually.
Here
I think it is. I think it is. I don't keep it. I have a little container. I have it in a little Ziploc that I keep all mine in. My water filter's not in there, but I feel like I'm going to put it in there now.
Yeah.
But I also have redundancies in my 10 essentials that I have the little tabs.
So do we.
Yeah,
Mhm.
just in case the filter breaks or you lose the filter, floats down the river.
Yeah.
I have another way. And after that, you can always boil water.
Yeah.
you know.
And like, I don't carry the extra parts to back flush my filter when we hike
I
with
don't
someone
either.
else.
Yeah.
Just because they have a redundancy
Yep.
worst case scenario.
There's always other things. So yeah, so that's a good point. I don't know if I'd add anything else to my. Well, one cool thing on my 10 essentials is put all your stats on their 10 essentials, and so your height, weight, name, emergency contact, and just in case they found it somewhere, like, you know, or for whatever reason, it's a form of identification. And so I thought that was kind of interesting, and so I do that as well. But
Whistle.
a whistle is
Whistle's
huge.
big.
Yeah, it's emergency whistle.
Yeah, I have a lifeguard whistle, which is really loud, but then also one in my backpack, the sternum strap. That's one. So, you know, again, redundancies there, not a bad thing. So,
What is the hardest thing about backpacking? Going uphill.
See, I would say downhill, personally.
well, that's true.
Yeah. Depends how steep it is.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, they're both hard. That's fair.
Sometimes it's just the weight of your pack and where you have to get to.
Okay,
Downhill for my knees.
downhill for the knees. Yeah, that is pretty tough. I would say for me, sleeping. It's like, because sleeping is always pretty tough. Again, especially that first night, just because it's unusual circumstances or like surroundings are different. Then the second night, I'm so exhausted that I sleep really well. Usually, if you could backpack anywhere in the world, where would it be? Oh, this is a big question.
Does it have to be just one place?
Well, I mean, just one that comes to mind. Honestly, we were talking about what'd you call it? YOLO? No, not YOLO.
Yoho.
Yoho. You guys had talked about that earlier, and I was like, I'm putting that on my list. It sounds amazing there.
Yeah,
I would
it
love
is.
to do a backpacking trip there. I know that's, you know, relatively close. You know, it's so in the scheme of things, anywhere in the world, but we have some beautiful areas here in North America. So, yeah, so I would pick that one just because I haven't been there, and I would love to check it out.
I've always
awesome.
wanted to do Patagonia.
Oh.
top dream list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you? Any?
Switzerland's nice.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah.
Or that, what's that trail that goes from Spain?
Camino.
De Santiago.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
one. That would be amazing. We had talked about that on a previous backpacking trip or day hike. And I was like,
that would
oh,
be-
that sounds interesting.
So there's lots of places.
I know, right? Yeah, anywhere in the world. It's a big question.
Right?
Yeah.
What is your backpacking superpower?
I know what yours would be. Can I answer for you?
Sure.
You will just go off and climb to the highest peak where we're like, how did he get up there? We're just like looking like, I see a shadow, like a little stick figure way up there. So I would say that would be your power. Like,
Well, I'm all legs and arms, apparently.
Yeah.
I know,
So,
right?
you know.
It's like, did he teleport up there? I don't know how he got up there.
Okay, well, yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, so that's what I was thinking. I think when I wrote the question, I even was like, oh, that's Jesse's. Yeah,
Totally.
So
so
where would yours be?
I have no idea.
knitting,
Knitting anywhere?
maybe. Uh,
Maybe.
Mine would be plunging into cold
Yeah.
water,
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah.
kind of Aquaman style. I'd be
No
like,
way.
I can do it, and no matter how cold it is, I like plunging, and sometimes it takes a breath away, and sometimes, well, it always takes my breath away, but it's totally worth it.
Yeah,
Hey, you got in this year?
yeah,
we
one-
did.
once a
Twice,
year.
I thought it was twice already. I don't
Twice.
remember.
Yeah.
Has it been twice?
Yeah.
That's
See?
it. That's it.
What piece of advice do you have for someone wanting to try backpacking? I think again, just like that safety valve trip of just plan something short. Know you have an out. You don't have to buy all the gear, and just go for it. Make it somewhere fun that you want to try.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. Make sure you like walking long distances
Mhm.
and car camp a few times,
Yeah, if you've
Get
never done
used to
anything.
setting up the tent and all that stuff.
True. Yeah, actually, that's a good thing. And also making sure it's comfortable. Although I do kind of agree with Jen, just go for it. And especially because I always consider those first trips like shakedown trips.
Mhm.
Like, just go a mile in, and like she said before, like you could always go back to the car. But then you kind of see how the backpack rides on your shoulders, whether you get cold at night, like if you felt prepared, or did you forget anything, or you can next time create a list. So, yeah, so I kind of like the shakedown trip.
Right.
So,
You're not going to get it right 100% the
no,
first time.
nor the
We're still
20th
learning.
time.
We still have trips.
Yeah, like every trip, it seems like one of us forgets something, and so it's not
Make
unusual.
a list.
Yeah, so
Check it twice.
yeah, make sure you bring pants. That was a Jesse thing.
I did have shorts.
You
know,
did
it
have
wasn't
shorts.
Like I'm just fucking
Yeah,
naked.
yeah, he wasn't Porky Pigging it, but So, guys, thank you so much for joining us with this question and answers on our backpacking trip today. If you have any comments, please leave them in the message below. Do you guys have anything to
If
add?
you have any awesome trips that we need to take,
Yes.
put them in the comments. And
Let us know what
let us
those
know what
are.
they are.
And if you want to answer any of the questions some of the questions we answered today, if you want to throw your answers to those questions in the comments, that'd also be really cool. That'd be just fun to see and so forth. Other than that, we hope you enjoyed the video today. We hope you had fun. We had a good time doing this. But go ahead and like us on YouTube and give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We'd really appreciate it. And until then, I hope you guys have a great trip out there as well. Happy trails. So long, guys.
Happy trails.